Hello and welcome back to Retro Tech Toys. Tandy is coming to a close again this year, and if you don't know what Tandy is, it's a video series that a bunch of us retro creators do. Before I started working on this color computer today, I was working on this card that I bought a while back. It needs a bunch of things soldered onto it. Basically, it adds several functions to your Tandy 1000EX, including additional RAM and I believe a compact flash adapter. So a pretty cool piece of kit here. I'll be working on this more later, but today we're going to be working on the Tandy 64K Color Computer 2. This was produced by RadioShack, and this was one of the first computers that I bought for this channel. When I got this thing, it was an utter mess, and I featured it before, a long time ago. Here you go. On the back, you've got all your ports, and I'm back here because the TV out port is a little shaky and I can feel it wobbling around more than I'm used to. This thing's been through several moves and I'd like to take it apart and see if I can't secure that a little bit more, because when I turn it on, what happens is the picture's pretty clear and then it kind of goes out and comes back in. And I think we can fix that up by steadying that port just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart. And yes, I'm using a standard screwdriver today. And that case just lifts right off, and here you are with the keyboard. As typical with these microcomputers, the keyboard isn't usually secured on by anything except for the top case and the ribbon cable, of course. So lift that keyboard off and carefully disconnect that ribbon cable from its connector, and we can set this to the side. I really want to get that TV out port secured a lot more than it is. And I've got a couple of ideas to do that, and I think it'll work pretty well. Once we get to that point, you let me know what you think. I really do think it's going to work, but first let's go ahead and get this motherboard out of the computer. It's just a couple of screws, and there are some screws over by the cartridge port as well, so don't forget those. And once you get all of those screws out, really all you have to do is disconnect the power cable, and the board should pop right out. Not a problem at all. Now let's get some of this dust blown out of this bottom case so that we can set it to the side and get to the real work. Another thing we have to do is get these pins out of the board so that we can lift this RF shielding off, and I don't think this is actually required. If it is, let me know and I'll be happy to put it back in, but I just don't think this is necessary, and unless I'm wrong, I'm going to keep it out of here because this is a lot of pins to take out every time I have to get to the back of this board, and it's pretty easy to get these pins out. It just takes a while because there are so many. Just kind of get some tweezers under there and carefully lift them out, and they come right off, and you can put them back in later. Okay, now that we've got all that sorted, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this TV out port. I don't want to take this entire RF modulator off. I just want to steady the connector. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of solder on the inside and just kind of solder that port to the back of the RF modulator, and I think that'll work. And yeah, I can already see that just a little spot of solder is keeping that from moving. The last thing I want to take care of are these solder points here on the motherboard. I don't know if that was from the previous owner, if it's always been that way, but those solder points look kind of weak to me, and it's kind of hard to show you on camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a little bit of solder in my soldering iron and just take care of that really fast. And of course, I'm not the best at soldering, but I think we can fix this up pretty easily. And now that we've gotten that taken care of, it's just a matter of getting everything ready to put back together. I just want to kind of go through with the compressed air and clean out this keyboard a little bit, because this computer has been sitting for a little while and I haven't used it recently. And it's been collecting dust from several moves, like I said, and just from being stored. And after we get this thing cleaned off, we can go ahead and get our Color Computer 2 put back together. It's just a simple matter of reassembling it exactly as we took it apart. The top case slides back on after you have everything screwed in, and then you put your screws in on the bottom and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and get this thing cleaned up a little bit. I've just got some rubbing alcohol on a wipe here, and I'm just going to go ahead and get some of this grime off, and there are a couple of scuffs. This thing's just been sitting around. It sat around in my storage unit for a while, and then it sat on my shelf here at home. I should have probably had it wrapped up when I wasn't using it, but I kept finding excuses to have it sitting out. Like I kept telling myself I was going to use it over and over and over, and I never did. And I'm finally just now getting around to it, but that's okay. Let's get her cleaned up, and we'll fire it up and see how everything went. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this on and see what we've got. And yeah, we've got a really clear picture here. That's awesome. And let's wiggle this around. No, it's staying a nice clear picture, so that's great. And it's actually a lot sharper of a picture than you're seeing here on the camera. That's sort of the effects of a CRT being filmed. You guys know how that works. And we've got one final test here. Let's type in everyone's favorite little BASIC program. It's one of the first programs all of us learned on BASIC. And there you go. Our Color Computer 2 is working well again, and it's ready to be used. I've got to get a couple of new joysticks for it. My joysticks are in horrible condition. They actually were when I got them originally. It was the original joysticks that came with this unit. And let's go ahead and play a video game here. Demon Attack is actually one of my favorite games to play on the Color Computer 2. And lastly, I want to thank everybody for watching Tandy videos, not just from me, but from other creators too here on YouTube. And you can check all of their videos out by checking out the hashtag Tandy. There's so much more to come here from Retro Tech Toys as we start getting closer and closer to the end of the year. We'll have plenty more videos ahead, so stay tuned. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. Be healthy, be safe, and we will see you next time.